Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our wonderful community. Today, we're doing another one of our Data 101 series, and we're going to be talking about tracking audits. So, I'm going to hand straight over to Tommy, who will take you through all of his expertise when it comes to tracking.
Brilliant. So yeah, this is the fourth episode in the series. So we're going through tracking audits. We've already covered sort of maturity models, gone through some cookie consent and consent mode, measurement strategy, and now tracking audits. There's a reason we do this. There's a good order. So what is in an ideal scenario, this is the process you want to do to actually become data mature in your marketing data. So it's the best practice route to try and go through this sort of logical order. So yeah, more on tracking audits. So there's actually different types of tracking audits. I like to segment it because I find it a lot easier to do it like that, and to sort of go in each one in accordance. So you've got tag manager system audits. So that's your Google Tag Manager, Telium segment, not the CDP side of it. There's an actual tracking side and it has all integrated server side within it. Adobe DTM, so more your Adobe side if you've got Adobe sort of stack, and then you've got analytics tools, marketing analytics tools, should we be specific because we are talking marketing. Can do a bit more, but generally it focuses on the marketing website and app side. So yeah, you've got your Google Analytics 4 now. Obviously, Universal Analytics is gone. Adobe Analytics, Pweek Pro, Matomo, probably others now on the market, but I'd say they're the big ones there, and the key ones. Then you've got marketing pixels. So that's usually deployed through your tag manager system if you've not hard coded it, but you got your Google Ads, tracking, your Meta Ads pixels, Microsoft Ads, or Hotjar, LinkedIn, you name it, or even CRO. It's not just ads related. I've done a lot of ads, but Hotjar, for example, is session recording and stuff. But you've also got, you might be using an A/B testing tool, third-party tool to do that. Now that Google Optimize is gone, and you're going to want to make sure that's working correctly. You're sending custom events. Is it actually loading fine? And your A/B tests are loading without any flickering and all that. It depends what type. I focus more on the more marketing, paid marketing pixels and Hotjar. But just it's unlimited pixels. Basically, anything you're deploying through your tag management system that's not analytics based is auditable under this section. So yeah, moving on. So what is a tag manager system audit? So really, you want to check it's installed. Well, first of all, installed on all your website pages, but also optimally. So, for example, sticking to Google Tag Manager and Google, as that's the primary tool we use here at Datacove, not the only one. We have used some of the others, but it's our primary one. But just checking it's installed in the head. You've got the head script and body script on all pages, and also the head script is really high up in the head to give you your best possible tracking. Because the lower it is, the less there are chances it might not track all you use and all your events, for example. So you want to be checking that. You want to be cleaning this up now. The rest is more sort of cleanliness and sort of best practices. But yeah, checking if you've got any redundant or duplicate items. That could be tags in this case, or variables or triggers if it's tag manager. Just checking, and getting rid of them, cleaning them up, and then within each item, so tag, trigger, variable, just making sure you've set it up as best practice. So I'm using very Google Tag Manager terminology, but hopefully you can translate that to the relevant tag management system you're using if it's not Google Tag Manager. You also want to be making sure it's really easy to navigate through and easy to find things. So don't make your very messy. And for example, naming your tags in a really structural way so it's easy to find. Maybe if your tag manager system like Google Tag Manager, add folders, so folder your tags, for example, maybe triggers and variables to some degree in a really easy to find manner. So when you're searching things in the search bar, it's really easy to find. Maybe things like add notes to everything. So in Google Tag Manager, again, you can add notes to all of these items, tags, triggers, variables. So it's easy to know if someone else comes in, they're going to be able to understand what's going on. So that kind of teases up really quite nicely to the benefits. So why do we do this? So again, the first it kind of aligns each bullet point for now to the benefits now to improve data accuracy. So again, if you've got a best practice installation, you're going to get the best possible data collection. It's going to be loading, collecting everything, or more likely guaranteeing to collect everything So yeah, you're maximizing that in a way, and also just not causing any attribution issues or problems or things breaking in between. So yeah, data accuracy for sure, and data collection. I would say also better website speeds. Yeah, so if you're cleaning up all your redundant tags, triggers, variables, you'll be surprised, or changing sometimes tags into Tag Manager, for example. You might be using custom HTML tags. They're very clunky. They're very slow. If you can use Google, custom tag templates, for example, they're a lot more efficient on your website. So for various reasons, not going to go into the technical details, but yeah, essentially you can experience better website speeds. I think I've done a Tag Manager audit, and I've reduced, I can't remember how many tags, triggers, and variables, but the impact on the home page specifically, we're just analysing using just page speed in site reports, pre and post changes, and we knocked off around a second, which is a massive amount on a client's website speed. So yeah, it can really do wonders on website speeds for some clients that have really got a lot of clutter in there. And this is a great one. It's like reduce future head scratching, and which leads to time waste, really. You know, if I'm going into, as a third party, maybe I'm going into clients' tag manager systems, I sometimes go in there and absolutely look at it and go, what is going on here? Like, I have no clue where to find anything and what any of it means. And I have to constantly, check, preview it, click everywhere and find out where's that tag firing, what's that trigger doing, like what does that mean? It might make sense to one person, but it might not make sense to the next person. So this comes into keeping everything clean, organized, and filed. Really does help reduce time in the time waste in the future, which I think is obviously precious, and that's a productivity element. And I also say great website security. So this doesn't really link to any of those above. Kind of briefly, is I mentioned tag templates, switching from custom HTML to tag templates. So one thing custom HTMLs don't do, they can kind of, if you deploy them and you're deploying a third-party pixel through it, it can kind of do what it wants on the website, and scrape anything and take anything, which is not great from a security perspective. This actually was a common case, I think, with Twitter pixels and stuff like that. I think it was Twitter or one of the paid media pixels were doing it, and then they obviously changed it when they got caught. But yeah, with tag templates, for example, it when they're able to do it, it's just the way it gets executed on the website. And so yeah, you want to be doing best practices, tag manager. So auditing that you've set up all your tags and stuff like that at the best practice way can sort of make sure you're improving your website security. Now we move on to analytics audits. So first of all, if you've installed this optimally within your tag management system, so that's what TMS means. So for example, GA4, you've got a configuration tag, just making sure, you've got that installed on initialization trigger rather than all page trigger, because initialization guarantees that fires before any other of your custom events you might be firing. Which could cause problems if your custom events are firing before. It can cause attribution issues and increase in unassigned. This is GA4 specific terminology, but just as an example. Also checking that you've configured everything within your settings within the analytics tool, so your admin settings. Have you got cross domain tracking enabled? If you've got cross domain, have you excluded referral traffic that shouldn't really be coming through as referral, and you want it to sort of skip that and go back to the previous UTM that was on there, which determines your marketing sources. Have you excluded your internal traffic, because that's just going to overinflate numbers? All your employees and stuff might be testing on the website, or even just us analytics people, and it's just, you don't really want that data there. It's not really going to tell us anything. It's just we're testing stuff to see if stuff are firing, or whatever it may be, or testing website functionality. We don't want that in analytics, seen in our analytics tool. So yeah, it's important to sort of exclude your internal traffic, for example. And then things like just checking your obviously data is healthy is going to be one of the most important checks of an analytics. I guess the first two is more, well, still important, but I think the third's probably the most important check in your analytics audit. You want to make sure attribution's working, you're using correct UTMs on all your landing pages, so you can sort of attribute correctly to your correct market sources. It all makes sense, it all looks cleaned. for example, is your landing page data all good? Have you got a bunch of not sets? I'm talking very Google Analytics 4 here, just because it's our primary tool we audit, but yeah, similar approach is going to be applicable to all other analytics tools. If your sort of events and conversion data are correctly loading and even working at all, really. So, have you got the right trigger? Also, just things like, you're collecting additional information maybe in your custom tracking and your custom events, for example, in Google Analytics 4, and you've set up custom dimensions and custom metrics so that you can analyze these custom metadata. But it might not be coming through 100%. There might be a lot of not sets for that specific event, and you've done all the filtering and reporting in Google Analytics to see that. So it might just be, however you're collecting that, it might be you're not doing it through custom data layers. You're trying to, scrape the website to grab it. It's not very robust, and you might want to change the methodology or make it, change what you're scraping. And finally, is a compliance, really, and I think this gets overlooked a lot. And we talked about cookie consent here, so you want to be checking, first of all, are you compliant? Like, you should be only firing attacks when users, click accept, or in advanced consent mode cases, you can kind of do it and deny, but just make sure you've got the consent mode calls working correctly so it gets sent to the cookieless server. So we've already talked about that. But actually, another second point is, what about what data goes to your tools? Have you thought about looking at, query parameters that might have email addresses? Sometimes devs do really hacky stuff on a form and stuff, and then they you submit it and it for some reason applies as a query parameter. That's just a question mark and a parameter name with a value. Maybe that's accidentally collecting emails, your users' email addresses. Essentially, yeah, the benefits of doing it, obviously improve data accuracy and therefore reliability, is a given now. I think it was kind of made sense. If you're making sure your data is healthy, your tracking codes, work super robustly, and your events are firing correctly, that's going to give you better data accuracy and therefore reliability. You're going to be able to better understand your marketing and website performance as a whole, because you might see, you're not, your data is 100%, well, will be 100% once you fixed it. You're now going to understand, your full holistic view of your marketing website performance, which is the main reason you have an analytics tool. So know, am I spending the right stuff in the right areas in my marketing activity? Is it doing well? But also, on my landing page working well, which pages are my users viewing, as they go through the journey? You can even look at, like, some degree in website speed and stuff. You can pass that through if you want as custom data, but you can get that full conversion funnel, start understanding your website performance. So you want to make sure your tracking is 100% in these tools, in your analytics tools. You can, kind of mentioned that already before, but identify engaging content, high performing landing pages. Again, it's that understanding of the website performance that's super vital for sort of SEO and content. So those teams, possibly user experience as well, that for those teams that analyze that sort of data. And in addition, getting your data, 100%, sending through all those custom data you want to send through, custom events, set up conversions, etc. Make sure that's all working. You're going to start to be able to analyze it better in these tools, and particularly GA4 is really good at doing this. It's knowing your audience, and therefore who, so then you can start creating these audiences within sort of Google Analytics and start doing, remarketing too, but really good remarketing and good quality. So and that can really help with those campaigns that's doing remarketing in all your paid tools like Google Ads, Meta Ads, etc. So really, really vital. And then finally, marketing pixels. Essentially, you want to be checking, are all your landing pages that you're sending, say, Meta Ads to, as an example, is it tracking all the click IDs? Facebook has a FB click ID that it appends to the landing page if a user clicks on an ad and goes there. Just making sure, that's working. There could be a redirect that's happening, that's removing it. Maybe the tags, not, the pixels aren't quite detecting that, and therefore it can't really properly attribute back to your campaigns. So you want to make sure these click IDs are robust. That's not really a tag check, that's more of a landing page check, but it's still pretty important. So then also just checking, obviously, if your events and conversions are correctly sort of firing, loading, or even sort of just working at all. That's quite vital here. So yeah, checking that, you know, those pixels, those custom events that you've set up, they're working. You know, is it all page view pixel? Is it working on every single page? Is it a form submission event that you set up as a lead event action in meta ads? You know, is that all working? You know, is that firing um, well, first of all, correctly and robustly, just like you would have done for the analytics events, but also just make sure it's actually firing, you know, collecting at all. It might be the trigger's broken, or, you know, things change over time, etc. Then also you need to see, you can pass through custom metadata similar to analytics tools. Not every pixel can do this, so you know, some are limited. You can't really pass custom metadata. Some you can, and the ones that can, you want to make sure that's, you know, it's working correctly. You can actually analyze in meta ads, for example, for each of your events in your events manager. You can have a look at that the last, I think it's 30 days, and you can download a report for that event, and it'll tell you what that custom metadata you pass through, and it'll tell you the values. So it'll give you a rough indication if there's like not sets, you know, things aren't quite, you know, working correctly. So it's not picking up every single event hit and passing through that metadata. And also it gives you an opportunity to see if there's more metadata you can, you know, capture as well, to help again with audience creations and things like that. So again, why improve data accuracy? You're going to, it's similar, this is quite similar to analytics. So you know, you want to improve, it will improve your data accuracy because you know everything's working correctly, your attribution is going to be correct to your campaign, so you can trust what meta ads are saying a little bit more. Not that I trust meta ads in the slightest of its attribution. I don't think it should be an attribution using tool, but you do need it because, you know, it needs it for its algorithms to do a better job. So you need data accuracy. You can also do enhanced data attribution. So within all these tools now, you can send through personal identifier information. It will get hashed. You want to make sure you're doing that, but make sure you're doing it correctly and to their standards. Obviously, as well, talking about custom metadata, you can sort of, if you're passing that through correctly, or if you're thinking, oh, maybe I can pass extra stuff, then you can create within, not all tools. Again, some platforms are a little bit more limited than others, but Meta is actually a really good one for this. So I'm going to always reference Meta in this case. But yeah, they've got an audience creation tool, so you can better sort of segment your data, create more custom audiences, more niche, and do better marketing. So yeah, really, really vital to get these audited. Make sure your marketing pixels are 100% set up. So I think the question is, because it's all great doing these audits, but we need to know who and how frequently. So tag manager system, whom? Like I said, you can save like loads on website speed and save time in the future, reduce head scratching, etc., etc. But I would primarily do a full tag manager system audit. I say this all in full. Maybe some of these you might want to take bits of it, like and only focus on certain bits that you feel would be beneficial. But if you want to do a full tag manager system audit, say just checking your tag manager system like Google Tag Manager, if you've got more than sort of 40 tags, pixels, then that's calling for audits, because you can definitely, it'll be beneficial. The couple of days you're going to spend auditing, you're going to get, you know, quite a lot of value from that, and you know, you're going to hopefully reduce speed, website speed, you know, make it a bit clearer, etc. And then frequency is like every 1 to 2 years, I'd say, is more than sufficient. Then for Google Analytics 4, I like to split these in 2 types, because and I focus on Google Analytics 4, but you know, it can be applicable to most or pretty much all the other analytics tools. But you've got configuration checks. So just checking, you know, the settings are configured correctly. The configuration tag is set up to 100% best practice standards. I think that's in everyone case. And to be honest, you only need to do that once, unless Google Analytics adds a lot more features, which I think it's slowing down now. I think it's hit is pretty much its peak. So I like to say once, but maybe, you know, review it every 3 to 4 years and come back, but or just as you need it, because there might be one extra check you need to do from very much time to time. So I like to say that only needs to be done once. The data health for GA4 is a really key thing here. Everyone needs to be doing it, and quite frequently, but you know, every 6 months to 1 year. And why? Because your website's constantly changing, your marketing activity is constantly changing. You know, you've got loads of different teams managing, all your different marketing activities, or pending UTMs. They could be breaking something. They might want a new landing page or new blog pages or something's going on. J4 is quite a sensitive tool, and it can be quite susceptible to breakage in terms of attribution and stuff. So you want to be keeping quite on top of it. Ideally, yeah, if a new landing page goes on, you should be just testing it and QAing it as you go. But realistically, I think not everyone's going to be able to do all the changes that's going to happen in your website marketing activity. You're not going to be able to monitor that very, very strongly all the time. So, just do a full J4 data health check every 6 months to a year, depending how frequently your website's changing, and how much more or extra marketing activity you're doing. Then in terms of marketing pixel audits, I think again, everyone, similar to tag manager system, try this every 1 to 2 years, because within that marketing pixel, say method ads, things might change within the tool that you can do extra, and you just want to be checking things are still working. So yeah, definitely something to do, I'd say, every 1 to 2 years for marketing pixels. But yeah, that kind of concludes the tracking audits.
Yeah, that was brilliant. Thank you very much, Tommy. It's really interesting listening to a lot of these because I actually learn a lot when we're doing it, but also this kind of epitomizes a lot of Dataco's values as well. We're really honest. We don't like to waste people's time and money, so we want to create efficient solutions that celebrate first-in-class data. So naturally, if this is something that you're interested in or you want to get started, happy to give you some advice, happy to work with you as well. Do get in touch. You can contact us on all the socials that are on our page. And we look forward to welcoming you back next time. I think we're doing some more tracking as well, I believe. But Tommy will correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's correct.
Excellent. Thank you very much, everybody, and we'll see you soon.